And fast at the Misano, because now we've just had the end of the GT Sprint Cup qualifying and straight into qualifying for the GT Sports Club. 26 cars coming out to play. They've had a couple of sessions on track this morning and certainly looking fantastic. And the first one coming out, that's Pierre Hirschi, the one and only BMW Z4, very easy to spot in its all-white livery. Number 60 following him out is Marco Galassi, one of the handful of drivers with the 458 Italia Ferrari. A lot of the drivers have geared up this year. They've moved up to the newer 488 GTE model. Certainly some of the quickest times were coming from the 488 crews. Very different beasts. So the drivers getting on top of these cars, learning how to extract the most out of them, which the 458 is a much more generous car to drive, and certainly the gains can be greater in a 488, but it can be quite a tough challenge to start with. But these are all competitive beings, these racing drivers, and of course they love it very much indeed. 1-1-1, first sighting of Stephen Earle, one of 4 drivers this weekend competing in the Iron Cup class, which is for drivers aged 60 and over. Martin Lanting was the champion in that in 2016. Stephen Earle ended up as runner-up, and third place with Jan Brunstedt. But Lanting and Earle are back this year in the Iron Cup. Number 6 there is one of 3 cars from Boutsen Gignon Racing. They have 2 Lamborghini Gallardos, that's Pierre Filioni, and number 2 in the background there, the BMW M6, is the third car from the Boutsen Gignon crew, driven by Karim Oj. What we're looking at now, as the sports club cars go around, the drivers get the heat in their tyres. It's 20 minutes of qualifying. You can see the clocks tick down. We have 18 minutes remaining. The white and green Ferrari just crossing the screen was Louis-Philippe Sonnen. He needs to get a move on. He ended up down towards the tail end of the timing charts this morning. And the GT Sports Club runners had a bit of track time this morning, and then they're coming out obviously to get up to speed and do their race tomorrow morning at about 11 o'clock. First car into flying lap is that white BMW Z4, followed by number 60, which is Marco Galassi in the team Malucci Ferrari. But there is number 6, we mentioned him earlier, Pierre Filioni, and here is Pierre Hirschi going through the twisty first sectors of the lap. That was turn 2 he was exiting, and it's quite fiddly until you get to the first of the straights through a fast kink. He's coming up now to turn 4, quickly followed by turn 5, a sector of corners called Rio. Out of over the curbs and beyond. They're watching for that, but normally at this next corner, turn 6, so many drivers coming onto the sort of first of 3 straights. Have been too many wheels over the white line on the outside of the circuit. 2 wheels is permitted, all 4 wheels on the wrong side of the white line, and you will get pinged. A lot of the drivers for the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup have already had their best times disallowed in their qualifying session. This is one solid qualifying session. It's not coming in, changing driver. This is because in the GT Sports Club there is only 1 driver per car, no driver changes. So they keep them out for a maximum of 20 minutes. How long they can keep their tyres working on the sweet spot remains to be seen. It's all a learning process. Waiting for the first car to complete a flying lap, and it will be the car we're looking at the moment. Swiss driver Pierre Hirschi in the number 21. BMW, we saw him already have a mistake between turn 4 and 5 running off the circuit. Almost cutting the inside of the circuit there later in the lap. He has the 2 fastest times, but he's the first driver on a full flying lap. He's coming down towards the end sequence of the lap. And the best times they were doing this morning, I think, was a 1 minute 35.1. This doesn't look enormously spectacular now. Totally out over the curve through the final corner. That's turn 16. How good was that flying lap? Let us find out. Just waiting for the timing beam to be crossed. 1 minute 38.8. Yes, I said it wasn't fast. There was that mistake early in the lap. Would he be toppled? No, because Marco Galassi in the number 60 Ferrari is 1 minute 40. So he needs to also really get a bit of a move on. The car you need to look for is the number 72 Mercedes. That's Anthony Pons. He was fastest this morning. Certainly several seconds quickest than the best we've had so far. It's still Pierre Hirschi at the top. We mentioned Stephen Earle running in the Iron Cup. He's third fastest. Claude-Yves Gosselin, a long-time sports car racer, but before that he raced in Formula 3000. His father raced before him, competed at Le Mans back in the 1960s. He goes 4th fastest, so looking for the real movers. And Marco Galassi at the moment, the pink time at the bottom of the screen means he's fastest of all 26 of these runners through the first of the 3 sections that comprise the lap. So it looks like he's going to improve his time. New name at the top of the timesheets, as we still look at Marco Galassi, is Nicolas van Dierendonck in a Lamborghini Huracan by Ombre Racing. He's out there on the circuit, number 63, 1 minute 38.7 seconds. Another driver who went very well this morning, Christopher Ulrich, in a rather day-glowy reddy-orange Ferrari entered by AF Corsa. He had a little bit of an off into the gravel, which certainly slowed him down. But how good is this lap from number 60? We've seen certainly early in the lap that Marco Galassi getting a bit of move on there. Number 488 is Patrick van Glabiker, one of many drivers who has moved up to a 488. That's the number on the side of the door. How good is his lap? Well, I'm waiting to see as he crosses the start-finish line. He was 7th fastest there. He needs to get 1 minute 41.4, so these drivers need to get a bit more heat into their tyres. Marco Galassi, the number 60 Ferrari, has gone top now, 1 minute 36.840, but the grey Mercedes, number 72, is definitely going to beat the sharp end. His first flying lap puts him 6th fastest, suddenly falls to 7th, falls to 8th. He came out slightly behind the others, that's Anthony Pons, but certainly he did not just one quick lap in the practice session earlier today, the 2 practice sessions earlier today, but many quick laps. He was super consistent. You can see from the wobble there that he's really trying to get the balance of the car. He got a bit of a bounce over the curbs, was pretty much over the curbs again there. So Anthony Pons, the French racer, really pushing on. Again, from the ACA ASP stable, they've got 4 cars in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup, 2 cars in this, so a very, very busy team from France. It's still Galassi and Hirschi, the fastest 2. Number 63, 3rd fastest, that's Nicolas van Dierendonck. Martin Lanting, last year's Iron Cup champion, 4th fastest overall. Of course, last year's overall champion in the GT Sports Club was also very busy in the main Blancpain series. That's last year's Pro-Am champion, Michel Bronicheski. He's not competing in it this year, giving all those behind him a chance to move up. And the driver who finished 2nd overall last year, Nicolas van Dierendonck, of course, was in a Chevrolet last year, the big rumbling Corvette. But this year, number 63 racer is in a Lamborghini Huracan. So change of drivers in many cases, but in this case, a change of car. What can Anthony Pons do? I said to watch him, he has the fastest first sector of all. He's only 14th on the timesheets. He's 3 seconds off the ultimate pace, but I think he was looking for track space. He clearly has it coming out of the final corner. He's got his best middle sector as well. When he bounces back up the order, how high does he go? Up to 5th place. Shows how competitive. He still needs to find 1.1 seconds. So that lap by Marco Galassi, the best so far, 1 minute 36.840, is looking pretty good indeed. But Pons, we saw earlier, really can deliver when he needs to. But he needs to do that right now. He's got 12 minutes remaining. Now, Oliver Baumann out on the circuit, 4th fastest. He's got a pink time. Looking at the moment at the 63 Lamborghini, that's Nicolas van Dierendonck. Right at the sharp end of the field, he's 3rd fastest. No improvements last time around. Again, traffic has got in his way. His last lap, 4 seconds off his best. With 26 cars out on the track, finding that clear space is proving quite tricky indeed. So the driver has to really use their grey matter, use their brain to just slow down if you must, but not too much to lose the heat from your tyres. Keep the heat in there, get the clear space on the track, and get out there and deliver. Looks though Anthony Pons is delivering again. Both times, last lap and this lap, he sets the fastest first sector of anyone. That's through the fiddly first few corners, the first 5 or 6 corners. And there is Anthony Pons. What he didn't want in front of him, much as he likes the look of the car, is that Ferrari, because that's really going to slow him down towards the end of the lap. Because Pons on this lap, he's down in 9th place overall. Again, the fastest outright first sector, his best middle sector, and now he's clearly compromising. He has been let pass, but as he comes through the final corner, that's turn 16 onto the start-finish straight. How much time did that cost him? Can he advance? He's 1.7 seconds off the very best pace, but now, no, he's fastest by 0.3 of a second. 0.338 of a second is his advantage now over Pierre Hirschi, who had just also jumped ahead of the number 60 crew. So suddenly, Marco Galassi went in the blink of an eye from 1st down to 3rd. The number 17 Lamborghini, that's Coach McKenzie. He set 4th fastest time this morning, but at the moment down in 9th place, 1.8 seconds off the pace. He's got 10 and a bit minutes remaining. Can he get a clear run? Can he improve his position? I'm sure he can, and at the moment he does have clear track space ahead of him, so now's the chance to attack. I think in the background of the shot was Christoph Ulrich, who was very quick this morning, but at the moment not featuring at all at the front end of the order. So it's Anthony Pons, Pierre Hirschi, Marco Galassi, and then Nicolas van Dierendonck. They're the top handful. Coach McKenzie in the Luridi livery Huracan is down at the moment in 9th place. And we got a bit delayed on that middle sector of the lap, not his best, but good enough to go up to 5th place overall, 1.3 seconds away from pole position. He worked the traffic and got through very well indeed. Number 3, haven't seen so much from him, that's Klaus-Dieter Freres for the Artiga Rennsport Ferrari 488. 8th fastest at the moment, just set his best middle sector, didn't have the best opening sector of the lap, maybe scrubbed out a little bit, but can he complete it, can he move up the order? At the moment the top 9, well the top 10 effectively covered by 2 seconds. And Klaus-Dieter Freres, the number 3 Ferrari, comes out of the final corner, is in the top 10. Will he advance from 8th position? Just waiting for the final clinch. He goes up 1 place to 7th. He's now 1.799 seconds down on that ultimate lap by Anthony Pons. And Anthony has just stretched his advantage further, getting deeper into the 1 minute 35. So 1 minute 35.647 is his best. The white BMW Z4, 1 minute 36.232, and he's sitting on a 6/10 of a second advantage over a driver who's in the pits with 8 minutes remaining, and that's Marco Galassi. So Galassi set the pace until the last minute or two, when he's been pushed back, not just by Anthony Pons, but this driver, the Swiss racer, Pierre Hirschi, in the BMW Z4. Still holding down 4th place, Nicolas van Dierendonck. But is there any improvement this lap from Pierre Hirschi? No, his first sector is not his quickest. He's a 10th or 2 down on his very best, but you can do 3 sectors of all just below your very best, but if you string them all together, you can still beat laps where you've been quicker in the various component parts. Car number 18 has suddenly started to find a bit of form. That's the HP Racing Lamborghini Huracan of Folks. Still looking for Christoph Ulrich to see if he can advance. Quick this morning, not this afternoon. Has there been a problem? Klaus-Dieter Freres still pressing on. Not his best opening sector of the lap, but his middle sector very good indeed. He mows last time from 9th to 8th as he goes through the final sequence of corners. Out of turn 14, up to 15, little kink at 15, another left-hand kink at turn 16, onto the start-finish straight. A bit tighter actually, turn 16. You see the drivers struggle to keep it on the circuit auto. Oh, just about half a tyre wall staying on the circuit. Will this be an improvement from Klaus-Dieter Freres? Yes, it was up to 5th place, so he managed to find 6/10 of a second. So the German racer really pressing on to good effect. He's now 1.2 seconds down. Almost precisely. Number 68, haven't seen so much of them either. That's Oliver Baumann, father of Dominic Baumann, one of the joint overall Blancpain GT champions last year. And his is the Mercedes in the background, looks fantastic. His SLS Mercedes, entered by DB Motorsport. One of the AMG models, quite big, heavy cars, but certainly handled with some considerable aplomb in period. A couple of years ago by Dominic Baumann, and now father Oliver Baumann looking it very hard indeed. Just inside the top 10 in 9th position. In fact, his middle sector was the very best of anybody so far in this qualifying session. We've had 2/3 of it. We have just over 6.5 minutes remaining. Will anybody beat Anthony Pons? He's on pole in the 72 Mercedes by over half a second, 0.585 of a second. Will this be a better lap, for example, from Dominic Baumann? He's 1.3 seconds off the ultimate pace, but he's just set his fastest first sector of all. Looks like the track's not too busy up ahead of him, as long as those in front do keep going, don't suddenly decide to back off. But at this late stage in this 20-minute qualifying session, I don't think anybody's looking for a cool lap, a cool down lap. They're just absolutely on it. Target time, 1 minute 35.647 seconds. The best lap done by Oliver Baumann, 1 minute 37.004. And again, he set the fastest middle section of all. Nothing wrong with the speed of that Mercedes through the twisty bit, middle sector of the circuit, down towards the end of the lap. 14 has been negotiated, the kink at turn 15, and a very short thump of the throttle, and then you've got to get through Misano, the final corner. So many drivers get it wrong through the left-hander and run out over the curbs. Doesn't need to find a great deal of time. He's now slipped back to 9th place. I'm coming to who's just improved on their time to push him back. But is there an improvement from? No, he stays 7/100ths of a second slower than his best. The driver who's just suddenly put in an improvement to push Oliver Baumann back was Martin Lanting, the top Iron Cup runner, last year's Iron Cup champion, and being age 60 or over has not dented his speed. So certainly Martin Lanting in the number 48 Ferrari looking very strong indeed. If he can find another 1/3 of a second, he could get onto 2nd position. Can he depose Pierre Hirschi? Oliver Baumann still pressing on, and again improves his first sector time, but he's getting ever closer to that Ferrari that will possibly compromise his lap time. Does look good, that SLS Mercedes in this livery. In fact, I think that's the most impressive livery I've seen it in the 60 Ferrari, though. Isn't a driver who really should compromise anyone. Marco Galassi, he was fastest in that Ferrari in the early part of the session. The Team Malucci car running ahead of Oliver Baumann, and in fact seems to have rather dropped him. Has Baumann backed off, or has Marco Galassi sped up? But Galassi does need to speed up. He's 6th fastest, 1.2 seconds away from the pole time. It is increasingly looking unbeatable, set by Anthony Pons in the 72 Mercedes, but Marco Galassi really starting to wind it up all over again. As you can see, Pons, Hershey, Lanting, Ulrich. Ulrich has suddenly produced that time. He's been a while in the coming. I think he took a pit stop early in the session, therefore wasn't showing his true hand, but certainly in the free practice sessions, look out for Christoph Ulrich. Very, very strong indeed. Entered by AF Corsa, and if anybody knows about racing Ferraris, they are the ones. There is the number 4 Buisson-Gignon Lamborghini just ahead of the 60 Ferrari. And at the wheel of that is Claude-Yves Gosselin. He slipped down the order, just improved actually his time, but he's down in 17th place, I'm afraid, in his Lamborghini Gallardo, not one of the newer Huracans. And now, if anything, Marco Galassi getting a bit stuck in behind him, which is a shame because the middle part of the lap by Galassi was the fastest of anybody at any point in the session. Haven't seen so much as Cedric Lima. Here he is in the 963, the car with the highest number, the Auto Vitesse Lamborghini Huracan. And the reason we haven't seen much, he's been hiding his light where? Under a bushel, because he's suddenly just delivered a lap that puts him 2nd fastest. Suddenly Pierre Hershey has been bumped from the front row. It's Pons from Lima in the 963 Lamborghini. Wow, he's found the sweet spot on his tyres. Well, and he's found the sweet spot somewhat beyond the curbs there. He made a mistake and ran very wide indeed. So that will compromise his follow-up lap. And suddenly Daniele Perfetti, also from ACA ASP, as same team as the provisional pole sitter, has suddenly moved up into 4th place. So it's Pons from Lima, from Hershey, who's been up at the front end forever. Oh dear, I'm afraid a slightly rearranged front end. That's the Kessel Racing Ferrari of Deborah Mayer, the French racer, and I'm afraid that's brought out the red flags with Pons on pole, Cedric Lima, 2 and a bit minutes remaining. The clock will keep on ticking. How fast can that car be recovered? And another Ferrari way off the circuit, and that's car number 51. And that is Christoph Ulrich, who suddenly just started putting some quick times together, got up to 6th place on the charts, and suddenly off way beyond the circuit in his AF Corsa Ferrari. Christoph Ulrich, the red flags are out, and on provisional pole as that clock ticks on down. I can't say we'll have enough time with just over 2 minutes remaining for this session to be restarted. There are the red flags. Session over. Anthony Pons on pole by 0.252 of a second from Cedric Lima, who must feel so frustrated, putting on that late charge in the session that really looked as though it was starting to pay off. The red flags are out, and there is a message: the session will not be resumed. Well, that doesn't come as a great surprise. So we didn't see the preamble to Christoph Ulrich going off and Deborah Mayer picking up damage to the front end of her Kessel Racing Ferrari. But there is confirmation, top of the qualifying session. Anthony Pons for ACA ASP in his Mercedes. Cedric Lima came really strong in his Auto Vitesse Lamborghini. Pierre Hershey always at the top end in his Z4 BMW. Daniele Perfetti, teammate to Pons, in 4th place. Martin Lanting, top Iron Cup runner. And Christoph Ulrich, 6th fastest, but his was the red Ferrari off at the side of the circuit in the incident that brought out the red flag. Marco Galassi, strong for so long, but started to slide back under challenge from Klaus-Peter Freres. 26 cars coming as the Blancpain GT Sports Club grows and grows, and the 2017 season looks so it's going to be very competitive indeed. You can see top 1.8 seconds, just under 2 seconds, covering the top 18 cars. The circuit very tight and twisty here at Misano. Plenty of opportunities to start making a move on another driver, but a very good start to the season for the Blancpain GT Sports Club, and I think a lot of those drivers will have enjoyed that session. And it's been a very busy afternoon, but let's have a quick look at the highlights. Early in the session, it was Coach McKenzie starting to set the pace in his very distinctive Lamborghini Huracan, number 17. And it was all about trying to find some speed out of the tyres, speed out of the drivers at this first round of the season. But a driver who didn't struggle at all was Anthony Pons. Very, very quick in practice, very, very quick in qualifying. Pierre Hershey in the one and only BMW Z4 in the race was right at the sharp end. And the more modern M6 BMW Karamoja at the wheel, also trying to take a tilt for pole. Dominic Baumann's father got right the way up the order in his Mercedes. But come the end, we headed towards an early end with a